Hi, my name is Belinda and welcome to Belinda's Baubles, episode 30. Today is a special episode because instead of having what I've made and all of that, that was in episode 29 and will be in one of the future episodes as well. I'm kind of going off script a bit and I'm going to share with you a yarn tasting of Cascade Yarns. Cascade Yarn is a yarn here in the United States. I believe it is sold elsewhere in the world as well. I'm not sure where all it goes to be honest, but I know that they do have some international presence. I am located in Fort Worth, Texas. Today is August 7th, 2025, and back on June 21st, 2025, I attended a special event at JuJu Knits here in Fort Worth, Texas. And it was a ticketed event that I went to along with my brother Bill and a whole bunch of other people. And it was us being able to meet with Shannon Dunbabin. Shannon is the owner or one of the owners of Cascade Yarns. Which is located in Seattle, Washington. She owns it along with her husband, Rob, and it was started in 1987 by his father, Bob, and they have been running it since 2011. For me, Cascade Yarns, especially their heritage, is a workhorse yarn for me. I use it quite a bit. And it was interesting for me to be able to meet one of the owners, hear her speak, tell her story, and a bit about the company and the yarns. And I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to share some of what I took from it. I know there is a ton of stuff that was said that I'm not going to remember, but part of it was we had a yarn tasting. So what that meant was she had a whole bunch of different yarns that we were able to pull bits off of, and I created and played with these little bits. So it gave me a chance to try out a lot of different yarns from their line, especially yarns that were carried there at JuJu Knits. And so some of them I'd never tried, and it was an interesting experience for that because I came home with all these little bits of yarn with where I had tagged them and everything, so I know what they were, and then I came home and knit and crocheted them. I've blocked them so that I can tell you what my thoughts are on them so far. First off, I want to tell you not so much about the event itself, but my takeaways, what I found interesting and what I learned about Cascade Yarn, about Shannon and the Dunbabin family, but mostly about the Cascade Yarns and how they come about, how they end up with me. So, are you ready? Get something to drink and let's dive in. Okay, so Cascade Yarn, as I said, is located in Seattle, Washington. But it was started back in 1987 by Shannon's father-in-law, Bob, who had no experience with yarn at the beginning. He came through rug manufacturing and selling rugs and the yarns for rugs, and he ended up working with someone else, and then that didn't work out. Don't remember the reason why, but he made contacts with manufacturers for yarns overseas, and through that he developed Cascade Yarn. He didn't want to pass on the cost of a beautiful showroom location and beautiful warehouse location and everything. So instead, the first location for Cascade Yarn was in the Pioneer Square, which I have no idea where that is, but it was between a homeless shelter and the main north-south rail line. So you've got the railroad tracks on one side and you've got the homeless shelter on the other, and you have yarn in the middle. But his importance, what was important to him, was being able to have quality yarns manufactured and keep the cost affordable for those of us who are yarn crazy. So that was where they were based, where they are continuing as far as in Seattle. They've changed locations, I believe, a number of times, but they want to make sure that we are getting a good product, to be able to spend our time and our money making these special items that speak to us. So what I found interesting, they have over 90 lines of yarns that they offer. Since they are a wholesaler and it goes through the local yarn shops, either online or in person, I had no idea there were this many lines. This is all done there in Seattle with 11 employees, plus the owners. Shannon is a Craft Yarn Council member, and she has been working with them to create a new yarn designation, a 3+. And I found that interesting, which there is such a big difference between a 3 and a 4 at times. I am glad they're adding that in. And whenever she started working with Cascade Yarn, I believe her and her husband Rob met at college, and she comes from a music background and not a knitting or crochet background at all. And he brought her into the family business whenever they left college and moved to Seattle. And so after she had been working for a yarn company for a while, she figured she better learn how to utilize these products instead of just selling them. So she actually learned to knit because she was working for a yarn company. For me, I would want to work for a yarn company because I knit and crochet. A little opposite there, so that caught me as interesting. They work with 5 different mills located in Turkey, Brazil, Peru, and there are 2 in India. They no longer work with mills in China. They have pulled out of China. One of those mills, she was very sad for leaving because she had gotten so close with the owner's family and everything. And that was just a break that made her sad. And I can understand that, as far as with all of the stuff going on in the United States right now. I'm not getting into politics, but it's made for some changes in manufacturing and changes that are having to be made. So they ended up over the years seeing some of this coming by pulling out of China and have moved all their manufacturings to other countries. Okay, with these 5 mills in these different countries, they were aspects of it that I had no idea. For one thing, they've invested in a lot of these mills to help them improve, and the ones that they are working with, these large mills, they have labs. I just never thought of that. The labs are used to test for the staple, the durability, the fiber length, as well as the composition. So whenever a yarn is moved from one country or one manufacturer to another, they are able to take a copy of this yarn. Okay, here we go. Here's some superwash heritage. They take this, their sample of the yarn, they test it so that they are able to reproduce it due to the lab breaking it down to be able to find out all they need to know about how to recreate that yarn for there not to be a huge difference. So a lot of the changes that have happened we would not have even noticed necessarily, because they have kept it from making a difference to us. Now, with these different mills, some of the things that she shared that I really liked, I'm trying to get my notes to move up and it's not wanting to, is India. Okay, so India has so many people, and they have the caste system and everything. So the owners of the 2 mills there, one of them went to the government and requested that they be able to hire mostly women for the day shift. And the women are not necessarily from the caste that would automatically get these jobs. They are from lower castes that have a really hard time providing for their families. And not only are they hiring women who have a harder time to get work, but they are providing insurance, not just to the worker, but also to their dependents. So the mills are adding in to the locals' quality of life in such a wonderful way. They're also making sure that they are zero liquid waste. One of the ways that they are doing the zero liquid waste is that using 40 acres of eucalyptus trees that they've planted to absorb the water that is run off. And they make sure that this is safe water. The mills in India that they're working with, they were actually trained by the Italians. And so we see all this wonderful yarn coming out of Italy. And so some of the same yarn is also able to come out of India, because they have made sure they've gotten that extra training to make these quality yarns. They have also worked on fuel sources using biofuels made from rice husk. And I looked this up a bit, and the rice husks are a byproduct from rice manufacturing, and they turn it into ethanol, and they're using that as a fuel source. So that was just a little bit of information that I would not have gotten without going to this event or hearing it from someone who went to an event such as this. So I'm really finding some of these things interesting to know about the yarns that I'm using. And I already liked Cascade Yarns just because of the durability, the price point, and what they offered. But some of this made it to where I'm feeling even better about choices that I've made with making Cascade one of my workhorse yarns. Okay, so in Turkey, that particular mill, they are using mostly the short staple spinning, and they do woolen spun, and they're doing the eco wools, which I got some of the eco wools during yarn crawl that I still haven't used, but it's part of me testing out my sensitivity and what I thought was an allergy to non-superwash wool and to wool in general. And so that's another, I know I've been teasing about this all year, but this is a video that's a video that's taking me a year in the making, basically, because of all of the stuff I'm doing with it. But part of it was getting some of the different eco wools, and I had a chance to talk to Shannon and ask her as far as chemicals that are being used to process yarns. Is that happening in any of the mills? And she was able to tell me that no, she has actually she's visited herself 4, I believe, of the 5. Her husband has been to the 5th one. She's scheduled, I believe, to go to that one in the future, but she makes sure that she goes to all of these different ones. She meets the family, she meets the owner, she sees the working conditions, and she has told me she's never smelled any chemicals going on within these mills. And what they use instead, is a detergent to break down and wash the wool, the raw wool, to be able to process it. But that was one of the things that I had been looking for, to see if my sensitivity is to chemicals. And I had not had that problem with theirs, so no, they're not using chemicals. So it explains one of the reasons why I may be having a better luck with some of their wools. All right, so synthetics. She talked a bit about blocking, and during that, one of the things that I took away was that I had never blocked anything that was made out of nylon or acrylic. I just never bothered, but it kind of reinforced it with me. Basically, if you are using nylon or acrylic products or yarns, which there is a place for them and a necessity for them at times, especially with gift knits. You never know how other people are going to treat it, but don't expect it to block out. It won't. What you have is what you're going to get, pretty much. So make sure that you are happy with the fabric that you are making. I learned a bit about cotton and what it means to be mercerized. When you're making your washcloths, make sure that it is a cotton yarn that is not mercerized. Reason being is that mercerization, it's been carded, combed. I think they burn off the fuzz, and they harden the exterior by gassing it, which is using a caustic soda solution like lye, which adds shine, stretches it, adds durability, but it makes it to where it's not a good absorption. So it's no longer good for using for washcloths or anything along those lines, because it's not going to absorb. Now, it does make for really good t-shirts and tops and other things. I found out that alpacas come in 6 to 8 different shades of animal, which they make the different fibers from, and that alpaca fiber is a hollow, straight tube, and it's not flexible. So that makes a difference whenever you're deciding what you want to make without an alpaca yarn and how it's likely to react in the future. Found out the merino is has a long staple length, which is why it's more likely to pill. Like I said, these are things that you may know. You probably do know a lot of this stuff, but these are things that I didn't necessarily know and I found interesting. Found out that here I have a high efficiency washing machine, and I figured that was a much safer way of treating my clothes, but it's actually harder on hand knits and crocheted items. Superwash wool. I know there's a lot of controversy around superwash wool, but I like superwash wool. I use superwash wool. And I found out a few different things about it, such as with superwash, they want to use the whitest fleece. And there's 2 types of superwash. I was assuming superwash was superwash. It's not. There's 2 types in the way that it's treated. And some superwash can still felt. Reason being is one way it's treated is it's coated. And the coating is not permanent. It can wash off over time. And so the directions will usually say on that skein of yarn, lay flat to dry. Lay it flat to dry if you want to keep it for any length of time. And you don't want to take the chance of it possibly felting. Now you have your other type, which will have on there that it can go in the washer and dryer. That one, the scales have been removed from the fiber, and it should not felt if treated the way it says on the instructions here, which I'm looking for this. Yeah, so this one is a Cascade 220. It's a non-superwash wool, but it has the little symbols here to hand wash, 30 degrees Celsius, and to dry flat, which is just a flat line right there. So these are things you do want to take a look and not just assume because it says superwash that it's going to be ultra easy to care for. Let's see what else. Here is a little color fast cheat. So we're making something up, 2 different colors, 2 different that could end up bleeding over onto each other. If we're not sure about how color fast a yarn is, one way of doing it is to just take the ends of the yarn instead of doing the whole rigmarole of making your swatch, soaking it, drying it, and all that. I'm a non-swatcher, so I don't always feel like doing that. But if you want to know if your yarn is color fast, go ahead and take the ends, soak it in warm water for about 20 minutes, then blot it on a paper towel. And that should show you how color fast that yarn is going to be. I learned a little bit about the difference between woolen spun and worsted spun. My brother Bill knows all about this, but I had no clue. So woolen spun is carded but not combed. So that's going to be usually a shorter staple yarn or fleece, but it's going to be fluffy, airy, and soft and warmer. Whereas a worsted spun is carded and combed. It makes the yarn denser, smoother, stronger, and gives you more stitch definition. So whether or not you're wanting something fluffy and warm and just cozy, or if you're wanting to be able to see your stitch definition, that makes a difference in how your yarns are spun. Okay, so those are all my little tidbits that I learned. I have a few more different things, but let's get into the actual yarns. And I will throw up some pictures during editing here that I took at the event of some of the different yarns and some of the different things that were made with it. But I have no idea. I don't remember what pictures I took, so I won't reference them. I'll just throw them up there for you. Okay, so the ones that we tried out, we did how many? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so she spoke about 15 of the 90. So I did the tasting with these 15. And the first ones that she started with were her acrylics. And so since they were the acrylic ones, I decided when I made my swatch, and I spent a whole day making all these swatches, and I'm an anti-swatcher, so I hope you're appreciative. But I decided to crochet them. Okay, so that light blue up at the top, this is Cherub Baby. It is a nylon acrylic, comes 229 yards to a 50-gram skein. And so you're looking at a fairly fine, I'm not sure if that's going to be a 2 or a 1. I would say a 1 with the fact that it is 229 to a 50-gram skein. So yeah. So then the pink here, this one is Pacific. This one, it is an acrylic superwash merino wool blend. It's 60% acrylic, 40% wool. Do I have it where you can see it? Yeah, I can. Making sure. It's machine washable, and it comes in 213 yards to 100 grams skein. Then on the bottom down here, this is a cherub Aran print. It is also a nylon acrylic blend, but it's a DK because it's 240 yards to 100 grams. And these are all three very, very soft. I can easily see doing baby items or gift items with these, but as far as the Pacific, I can't necessarily tell that it's wool, but it does work up better. It's not as slippery as whenever working with the cherubs. Now, they are so soft to the touch, would be great for baby items, and I could definitely tell the density difference between the cherub Aran print, which of course it's Aran. I don't know why I'm thinking DK. It's Aran, says it in the name, and the cherub baby. But I could see making something for myself in these, or whenever making a gift knit or crochet that you don't know how they're going to treat it, and you need something machine washable. Okay, so from there, let's go over to the cottons. I'm just moving over my little tags that have the names on them, so I know what's what. And we're going to start with this top pink one. This is Ultra Pima. It is a Pima cotton from Peru. It is mercerized, and it's 220 yards to 100 grams. So it is DK. Underneath it is Hampton. And I've lost it on my sheet. Hold on. There we go. Hampton is non-mercerized. DK to Sport. And it's 273 yards to 100 grams. It would be good for summer tees or tops. It has the feel of cotton, but the stability of linen. So you get some great stitch definition. I'm trying to make sure you can see the stitch definition on these. So after that is Pandemonium, which is this green colored one here. Pandemonium is made in Turkey. It is 55% cotton, 45% viscose from bamboo. And it's not suggested because it doesn't have a lot of structure. So they're saying not to use it for tops necessarily unless you have some structure to that top. Let's see. But it's not splitty. Then on the bottom down here is purple. This is Botanica. Botanica is a naturally dyed sport yarn in organic cotton. 328 yards to 100 grams. It's made in India with the zero waste, no chemicals used. As far as the zero water waste, no chemicals used at that mill. And this is the mill where they have the most women working at it. They're going to be adding more colors, but they have a limited number of colors right now just with the fact that it is the natural dyed. And they're still working on adding more because people do seem to really like this yarn. Now, what I noticed about these is I could tell a definite difference in feel and knitting up between the mercerized and the non-mercerized, so the Ultra Pima and the Hampton. The Hampton, it's not as slippery but I actually like the feel of the Hampton better, even though it's not mercerized. The mercerized one is very slick and slippery. It does have that shiny sheen to it, but I don't know that I like that as well. And I think I would be more likely, just from the feel, to go with the Hampton. Now you come down into the Pandemonium, of course, with the bamboo, it's going to be kind of soft and silky, and I probably would make a tank top with it just because I would like the flow from it. The Botanica with the organic cotton, it feels closest to the Hampton. And of course it's not mercerized, so it doesn't have that shiny shine. Okay, so from the cottons, let's hit up the Woolpaca. See how I can get that up there for you. You can see the fuzzies. Let's just go there. You can see the fuzzies there from the alpaca coming off. The Woolpaca is made from Peruvian Corriedale and Peruvian alpaca. It's 60% Peruvian highland wool and 40% superfine alpaca. And the highland part apparently matters because it's cooler up there, so the fleeces on the sheep are going to be thicker and denser just because of the climate. The sheep here in Texas are not likely to have that nice thick. They would probably pass out and die if they did fleece. So it is 220 yards to 100 grams. And if you've made it this far, I have a little something special in here. I received, as going to this, I received a drawing. From a drawing, I got a Cascade bag. I'm going to keep this, but I also got a free pattern, double black diamond scarf made from Woolpaca, designed by Shannon Dunbabin. It's an intermediate pattern, but I got that pattern, but I also got 2 skeins of Woolpaca. 2 skeins of Woolpaca. And what I am going to do, I just had my birthday last month, and it was such a busy month. I didn't come on, I didn't do any drawings, I didn't do anything special, wasn't even able to do Christmas in July this year, which is, I hated not doing that. But what I'm going to do is, with this particular episode, if you make a comment down below, any comment, as long as it doesn't have any bad words in it or anything, any comment down there, I will enter you for a drawing. And I will draw this in my next regular episode. And so it will only be up for a short period of time. So if you are watching this in the future, please look down in the notes to see if the drawing has already closed. But if you're doing it, say, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, just make a comment down below, like the episode, and I will enter you. And this is international. As long as I can get the yarn shipped to you, I will send it. I'm stating that because I did have somebody who won a drawing that at the time was living somewhere that I couldn't ship to. Thankfully, within the year, they were moving back to the UK, and I was able to send it to them there. They just had to wait for their prize. But so this is for a drawing. Make a comment down below. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled episode here. All right, so now we're going to move over, since we're kind of coming in through the wool packet, into the wools. Okay, where do I want to start? I'm just going to start up here on the top. I've got all my notes. They gave us a printout of the yarns that we were going to do the tasting of, and so I've got a little bit of just everything through here. So let's see, where to first. The 220 Superwash Merino. Like I said earlier, with it being a merino, it is more likely to pill. I don't know if that makes a difference to you or not, but it may make a difference on what you want to make with it. So it is, you're in the middle. Okay. This solid green. It is so soft. It's silky. I do love the stitch definition there. It is 220 yards, 100 grams. And I am falling more and more in love with the 220s. It's just, it's a good workhorse yarn. I've always usually done the heritages, but I've just started branching out into the 220s, first with the superwash, and then I'm just kind of moving from there. So then there is the 220 Superwash Wave. This top one, this pinky one here. And with the Wave, it is a worsted spun. Comes in 5 different colors of gradient superwash wool, 220 yards to 100 grams. The skeins are different, each one as if it was hand dyed, so be aware of that if you get some to make something. But even though they are manufactured on a machine, they have found a way to make it to where each skein is slightly different. So you may want to treat it, if you're using it, as you would a super or a hand dyed, just because of pulling. But again, so soft. The 220s are just very soft and slightly fuzzy. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a bit of fuzz to them. Okay, so coming on down, I did those, did that. Okay, so now we're going to go into the heritage. All the heritage yarns right now are being manufactured in India at one of the mills there. And you know, I use heritage all the time. A lot of people do, so I didn't do a whole lot with it. I just had a little bit of this pink. That down here, this is the standard heritage superwash merino wool and acrylic blend. I've used it for socks a lot of times. Just anything I want a hard wearing yarn for that I want to have some acrylic in. It's 437 yards to 100 grams. Right above it here, this one here is a new one. It is the Heritage Tie-Dye, 437 yards to 100 grams. And there are 14 colors. And I wanted to kind of see how it worked up. And I did do both garter stitch and knit stitch. I've seen a few things made up with it. It's not necessarily for me, but other people may find it fun. It's going to look like planned pulling, basically. It's not predictable. Each skein is different. And this is, again, even though it's done by machine, they have found a way of making them different. So again, here we go, that side and that side. I got bored going back and forth, so I started a tube. Whole reason for that. Okay, so then, where am I at? The Heritage 6. Aha. All right, so Shannon said that she really likes a 6-ply. You've got your sock weight yarn, which are 4-ply, sport weight, which are 6-ply, and she got tired of saying sport, so she put 6-ply on there. And then your DK, which is 8-ply. And so I'm kind of agreeing with her. I'm liking the 6-ply too. It's not a DK, it's not, but it's thicker and works up faster than a sock weight yarn. So this one, she had Heritage 6 and Heritage 6 hand paints, which I don't have one of the Heritage 6s for some reason. Oh, I know why. Hold on.
A few moments later.
The reason I didn't bother doing a Heritage 6 sample is because I am working on a sweater in Heritage 6 already. So here is your sample. And yes, it's fuchsia and lime green basically. And so that's my Christmas sweater that I'm working on, that I have not been working on, but that's done in Heritage 6. Then there's also Heritage 6 hand paint, which is this one down here. And with both the Heritage 6 and Heritage 6 hand paint, they are it's a 75-25 wool and nylon, superwash merino, 292 yards to 100 grams. And what have I missed? The tie-dye, did that. Okay. So Shannon mentioned that since, she owns a yarn company, she figured every once in a while she should be able to splurge a bit and make a yarn that's something she really wants. And so that's what this one is. This is the Mary Cash, Merikash. It's made in India. It is a 12-ply, 255 yards to 100 grams. It is extra fine merino wool and cashmere. And look at that stitch definition. It is so soft, and the stitch definition is just so crisp. You look at the difference here. I don't know if you can see it or not. Get it in the light good. But it is just a crisper stitch definition there. Of course, I just showed it up against cottons. Okay, let's show it up against the wools. Go. Get it up against a solid, why don't I? Okay. So it's just a much crisper stitch definition. And I really do like that. Super soft. And I want to make something out of this. As much as I hate making samples, I did enjoy just playing and feeling with each of the yarns. I mean, I just got small amounts off of each skein. We were all sharing them around because we were all sitting at the tables beside each other, making our notes, listening, talking, and just sharing along these different ones. If it's something that you have not tried, Cascade Yarns, and it is available to you, you might give it a try, or if it just comes up to you. I really do like their products, and I really enjoyed getting to learn more about their company ethics and just how they put it into works. I guess that's about it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got a little something out of this. Come on back for my next regular episode, and you'll find out what I am or am not working on, if I was able to get anything done, or go back and take a look at some of my past episodes if you're new to me. Please do like and subscribe, and I will see you again soon.